Good evening, everybody. It's October 2nd, Thursday, I believe. I'm not mistaken. It's a quick update for you. I ain't done much today. I worked on some art that I've got going on and some extended art, some touching and manifesting things. And here a couple years ago when I was living in Mexico, Missouri with Casey, my fiance, she seen me manifest these things that were miracles. And it's not what you're laying down on the surface, it's what you're bringing up from the surface. Underneath the surface is where the art is. And I'm chomping at the bit to be able to get a piece of wood and cut a cross out again out of some plywood and throw some paint down on it. Just a base color, and then come back with a paintbrush and just dip it in some light white color on some light blue or something, and watch the faces appear. And as I take those faces, I pin them in. I see layers deep, faces upon faces, and if there's something I don't like God, or something God don't like, he'll mess it up for me purposely so I can erase it. And I take that sanding sponge, and once I'm getting down to, it's not what you're laying down, it's what you're bringing up. Once I start erasing, that's where the real magic starts. And do it in a motion, in a technique he's taught me. And you have to be in a subconscious meditation, kind of disconnecting from this reality we're living in. Meditation, or I compare it to playing guitar. That type of free, don't even think about what you're doing, you're just playing that fretboard and the music's just coming out of you and you're just jamming and you're feeling the music. You're not looking at the fretboard, you're feeling it. You're feeling where the fretboards are, where the notes are. So I compare it to that. But I want to do it again. What I've been doing here lately has just been mainly sketching and stuff that is mediocre stuff I did as a kid. It's not what God truly has in store for me and what He's shown me and my capabilities through Him and my subconscious, how I manifest these miracles that are brought up from underneath the surface, not laying it down. So I want to do that again, and I was looking at some rocks today, and I see layers deep. Like I said, I see faces and everything. I have a spiritual gift called pareidolia, and it allows me to see faces. It allows me to recognize faces, and it's for my calling. But also, it brings out my creative art. And that has to do with my ascension process too. Seeing layers deep, what's underneath the surface, not what's on top. That's where the mystery is. The mystics, the great teachers, like Jesus, he had the direct connect to the divine. And that's no different than what I've got and what he had. And here are these Christians out here, slandering me and my abilities through his gifts. And it's the same thing Christ had with the Creator, a direct connect. The kingdom of heaven resides within yourselves. And some people are really jealous and envious of my spiritual gifts, but why not just be blessed by them? I will bless everybody. Why take away and why stunt my growth when I can make millions off my work and bless people with it, instead of people trying to squander me or not help me or sabotage my gifts. Help me. But it's all coming. I'll be able to do that again soon. But I wanted to get back into manifestation, and I was literally no more than looking at a rock and faces were appearing on them. I'd reach down to touch them and they would change color. That's the miracles I'm talking about. Talking about doing origami. I've never done origami in my life, but somehow I managed to pump out a bunch of origami, and I don't remember doing that either. Casey does, though. Anyway, these gifts are real, and they are very powerful, and they are very mystical, and they are very magic, and they are very miraculous, and it comes from my Heavenly Father, and I'm gracious, I'm blessed, I have these gifts. Being chosen is kind of a bitch sometimes. It's a blessing and a curse, but in the end game, it's going to be worth it. I know it. It's coming. But I want to talk about manifesting. Sarah Hayes, she always talking about her granny. My granny said this. I'm not saying her southern accent, which is cute and hot at the same time, and she's good looking, and I've talked to her several times. But Sarah Hayes, to your granny, I've got a story from my daddy. And it has to do with manifestation. Anyway, I was out in the country where my dad lives. He lives on 20 acres, and we got farm ground outside of Chillicothe here, about 20 acres, and it's all timber. It's all cut out. You know, my dad cut all the timber out. His tree houses, deer stands. Runs back and it was beautiful. And there's a creek that flows down through there and joins property with somebody else's property. But anyway, I go down the creeks a lot because I like rocks. And with my spiritual gift, pareidolia, I see below the surface. So when I see a rock, I see so much more than most people see. Yeah, one person might see a face. I see about 20 of them. And I see more than faces. And when I'm able to see that, I'm able to manifest and literally, through faith, make faces appear. I'm not just, seeing this stuff. It's manifesting through my capabilities. And that's the miracle in it. And I'm going to try to post something later about, this rock that I picked up earlier. I just happened to pick it up and it had a bunch of faces on it, like every rock does. But I wanted to do a little video on manifestation and wanted to tell this story. And back to the subject where I was at, my dad, he's got a creek down there. I go down the creek and I look at all these rocks, and you got anything from all kinds of rocks. It's it's a creek, so you're going to get everything. But anyway, I collected maybe 10 or 12 rocks that had outstanding faces, things I saw on them that were just a miracle to me. And as I'm able to manifest these things, as I look at them and I spin the rock, I see more and more faces. I brought them back because it's special to me. And I wanted to show, two Mormon girls, two missionary girls, the art of manifestation, but I never got the chance to. I forget their names, but they're from Chillicothe here, and they go to the Mormon church. Sisters, you both know who you are. I visited with them once and told them about this manifestation. I gave them a briefing on it, but I never was able to show them because the missionary boys came out the second time, and I had to kind of restart and redo my trajectory as far as, new faces, new crowd, and my message. So I had to start over. But the sisters from the Mormon church, the young girls, I started talking about it, and I wanted to show them what I'm talking about exactly, but they never got the opportunity. But these rocks that are down in the creek, I got 10 or 12 of them up. I brought them up to the house. I was staying with my dad at the time, and I had them I cleaned them up. I put them in the sink downstairs in the basement, and he was bitching about it. These rocks, get them cleaned up, get them out of my way, blah, blah. He's not really bitching. My dad don't bitch too much, but he said something about them, and so I did. I cleaned them up. I put them in the bedroom. I laid them out on my table, and I was going to do something with them. And my dad, I don't know, he's been at my odds through this spiritual awakening and me coming to know my identity. And most people know that's been in my, previous posts about what's going on with me and my family and the betrayals. But my dad told me, he looked at my rocks in the bedroom. I don't know, he came down to talk to me about something. And he looked at the rocks and he said something about, where'd you get those? I said, down the creek. He said, them there are Leverites. I said, what the fuck are you talking about? Pardon my French. What are you talking about? They're Leverites. What's a Leverite? And I just didn't put two and two. I'm a smart person, but I wasn't thinking witfully or thinking, in a sarcasm way, because my dad's not very sarcastic. So I wasn't even, that trajectory wasn't even an option. But he's being a smart ass and saying, Leverites there. Leverite them rocks right there in the creek. Leave them right there. Leverites. And, after me seeing what I've seen in these rocks and my spiritual gifts, and, me already getting bashed already for some of my spiritual gifts, being called crazy, and, my ascension and my, my connection with my spirit guides and